listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast, your weekly post-apocalyptic news roundup.
Hello and welcome back to this 73rd episode of the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I'm your host, Shawn, and I am the senior editor here at postapocalyptic.com. And we have another week full of news here. We actually had some crazy news, and I know I probably say that every single week, but we had some big news, and I'm judging that. I'm judging the craziness and the bigness, that's a word, off of the traffic we get on some of these posts, right, on these articles. And we had a couple doozies, I guess we'll say, this week. So let's get right into it. This first one is probably we'll just start with the big one, right? We'll just start with the one that kind of got more attention than any of the other ones. And that is the story about the time traveler. There's another time traveler on TikTok saying that they know when the world will end, right? Now, you might remember, well, this has actually happened a few times, but back in January, I talked about this also happening on TikTok. And in January, there was a guy who said, I think he's from Spain. His name is Javier. And he said that he was the time traveler, right? And he came back, I think he came back, or maybe he wasn't, or like in the future or something like that. And he's posting to TikTok when the world has ended, right? So people are like, well, why? How do you have internet? How do you have electricity? And he's like, well, it's a wormhole thing or something. He's just like making stuff up. Well, that went away. There have been a few copycats since then because that guy got millions of followers, right? And that's kind of the point of TikTok and all social media, right? Get millions of followers. And then you're happy with yourself, right? So that one was kind of debunked, right? Well, there's a new one that's kind of really making the rounds now. And this is a TikTok user named The Hidden God 1. And this person says that they are from the year 2034. Now, they're not claiming to be, they're not actually claiming to be the one from 2034. They're claiming to know someone from 2034. So let's get that part straight. So this person knows a time traveler from 2034 who came back in time and told them all about the apocalypse. And not only that, details on what the future looks like, but also the exact day that the world is supposed to end, right? And another thing you have to, take into consideration here is the fact that this all comes from the sun, not the sun in the sky, but the sun, the newspaper, the periodical, the sun. So this person says, this is kind of their timeline, right? On July 14th of this year, the Great Split will happen, which will be America's biggest earthquake. I don't know why this is only happening in America, but there you go. So there will be a big earthquake in America. Apparently, the country will split. Then, August 9th, over 2 million people around the world will mysteriously disappear. Will they fall down the hole made by the earthquake? I don't know, but it's just a thing. It's like a mysterious disappearance. It's very similar to that like Left Behind series from 20 some years ago, something like that. Everybody just disappears. Like I think their clothes even stayed behind and they disappeared. I think that's how. I never read the books, but I saw 5 minutes of the movie. Then on October 3rd, again of this year, there will be creatures known as stalkers, which will appear around the globe. And these stalkers, this person posted a picture on their TikTok of what these stalkers look like. It's kind of a generic, creature kind of a thing that they probably found online. So this is, I don't know where they get, this is the exact date, series of events that they're saying that they're getting from this time traveler, right? But at that point, at the point that this started really getting popular, strangely enough, this TikTok user took down the videos and made a lot of them private. Other people, though, have been duetting and stitching the videos, which is something you can do with TikTok, where you basically do a split screen and you show their video and then like your video on the side where you're like reacting to it or whatever. It's a cheap way to make content for your TikTok. So there's another person named iShalicious18, which is a great name. They combined the predictions into one video and wrote, "It's not true" at the top. So that's a skeptic, right? That's someone who does. I would say I'm a skeptic, if you can't tell from the skepticism just oozing out of my voice. I don't know. I guess, well, number one, I'm old, but number two, a lot of these things are easily debunked. You know what I mean? Like there's not time travelers. They can't be time travelers because then we would already know about them, unless they can only go forward in the future. At that point, that this would also be debunked. But anyway, scientific, sci-fi tropes aside, I think it's interesting, though, that so many people loved this story and they loved kind of reading about these time travelers who say that they know exactly when, how many years, how many decades and thousands of years since Confucius and, all that have people been claiming that they know when the end of the world is? We're not meant to know, we don't know for sure, but I don't know. It's still interesting to try to figure it out, right? And especially to make predictions. I mean, it's working, right? These people on TikTok, it's working for them to get hits, to claim that they know when the end of the world is. Even like I could make it up right now. I could say the world is going to end on February 4th, 2023, right? Oh, there you go. So I'm going to put that on my TikTok and then I'm going to get millions of views, right? No, that's not really how that works. But if it did, everybody would be doing that, right? So according to The Sun, this has, also happened a few other times. In 2019, there was a man named Noah who claimed that he was stuck in the wrong year. That's an interesting story. I linked that from the article, that I wrote about this. And then in 2021, we had a man who claimed that he could jump dimensions, like Quantum Leap. Remember Quantum Leap? That was such a great show. Ziggy, remember all that? So that guy claimed that he could jump dimensions, which isn't technically time travel. It's like going to the parallel universes between, like other lives. Which, if you haven't seen Quantum Leap, that is such a great show. Also, there was another one called Sliders that did pretty much the same thing. Great show. I love that stuff. Anyway, and so this one, okay, there was another one that said that now this one was interesting to me because this is very specific. This other time traveler, I guess earlier this year, said that there was a celebrity who faked his own death, and he will actually reveal that and the hoax and how he did it on September 16th of this year. Now that seems really specific, right? It seems like we've seen a lot of celebrity deaths. I mean, they happen all the time. Every month we get, a handful of them. But apparently there's one who didn't actually die, and he's going to reveal that it was a hoax on September 16th. So, I mean, that's something we can look forward to, at least. Mark it on your calendars, Who do you think who supposedly died? It doesn't say when they said that they died, but in recent history, actually didn't die. I mean, is it Elvis? No, it can't be Elvis. Elvis would be like, let's see, he would probably be like 100 years old by now, right? He has to be close, like maybe 90s. Yeah. So I don't think that's who it is. Anyway, crazy story. I love crazy stories. I love writing about crazy stories. They're always fun. Even if I don't believe them, it doesn't really matter. It's just the fact that it's a story that it's kind of riling a lot of people up, It's good fun. All right, let's move on to the next thing that's riling people up, and that is the new Resident Evil trailer. Now, Netflix is going to come out with this new Resident Evil. It's a TV show, right? and it's going to be it's going to take place kind of like a prequel. It has, you know, New Raccoon City. You start out New Raccoon City of 2022, and then it goes forward to I think it's 2036 is when the rest of it happens. So you know, they're showing the parts of it from this character Jade Wesker, who is played by Ella Balinska, and her father's Albert Wesker. Now, you might remember Albert Wesker as part of, you know, the Resident Evil lore, but so she's the daughter. This is a prequel. This is her, you know, early on, and then it's kind of following her story, right? And at that point in 2036, everything is destroyed. You know, there's an apocalyptic event, and the zombies are there. You know, it's kind of like what led up to Raccoon City being destroyed, what led up to the Umbrella Corp doing what they did in the story itself. Well, I mean, I'm not a huge Resident Evil lore nut. You know, I've played the first game back in, what was it, 96 or something like that, 98. Wow, that was a long time ago. But you know, I saw a couple of the movies, but I'm not huge into it. So I'm not sitting here, you know, getting all upset about this trailer. But apparently, a lot of people are. I look at the trailer, and I say, this looks like a good show, right? This looks like something that I could sit down and watch. It looks like a quality. You know, it's made well. It's high budget. It's Netflix. You know, it's going to be 8 episodes. So, you know, it's not just a sit down and watch movie. You actually have an episodic content. And of course, this, I don't know if I've mentioned it, but it will be coming out on July 14th. So we don't have too long to wait, like a month and a half or so. So I'm excited about it. You know, I see this and I say, this looks like a good movie or, you know, good TV show. Well, then you scroll through the comments. Now, okay, I'll take that with a grain of salt, because a lot of these, I don't know, a lot of the, you know, these these types of shows and movies and anything, you know, video games, books, that has a long-standing fan base like Resident Evil, it's gonna have people who are really involved in the lore, right? And really, they just really know what goes on in every aspect of that lore, and if something's off, they're going to say, whoa, no, can't do that. And we're going to talk about something very similar to that in a second here too. But so for Resident Evil fans who have been around for 24 years, you know, since the game first came out, they get a little upset when they see that this new show isn't following exactly what they've come to know and love about the series, right? And the movies. I mean, there's been a half dozen movies. There's been several games. There's been comic books. There's been a tabletop game. There's been a lot of things that have, you know, circled around and focused on Resident Evil. So I'm going to read some of these comments from fans. This one on Twitter, it says, I watched the trailer for Resident Evil Netflix, and to be honest, it looks cool. Does it look like Resident Evil? No, but I'll watch it. Looks more like Last of Us with Resident Evil monsters. Okay, I could see that. It somehow has way more budget than Welcome to Raccoon City. We get all the creatures on Netflix. Production value, exclamation point. All right, so yeah, I agree with that. I mean, makes sense. And we have one that says, came for Resident Evil, left because it's not Resident Evil. That seems to be the biggest complaint right there. It's not Resident Evil. It's not canon, you know, as they say. This one says, something I feel like a lot of Resident Evil adaptations seem to not realize is that Resident Evil is never a post-apocalyptic situation. The zombies literally never take over. Like at most, they infest a small town, but then are quickly taken care of. Well, yeah, that's another comment on, let's see, that's on the YouTube comments on the trailer itself. Yeah, that's a good point, because, you know, where do you draw that line? You know, do you do you say post-apocalyptic? Of course, after the apocalypse. The apocalypse would be a world-changing event, right? It's not a locally, an event that just happens locally, even though it might happen a bunch of places, right? I can see that. I'm a little, I don't know. I kind of love to accept that an apocalypse can happen a little easier than that. You know what I mean? I think it's because I love the genre so much, and it's, what I do. And so when there's any kind of apocalyptic event, where do you draw the line? Do you say it has to kill 1 million people? Does it have to kill half the population? 49%, 50%? Like, where do you draw the line? Well, I think what they're saying is these are small towns, and it's not even half, the population. It's just a localized event, and the zombies don't take over completely. Okay, so there's that. This show, I don't know. I mean, they're not really saying that it took over the world. I don't believe they said that in the trailer, but it does show something that looks like that. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's not even the entire world that's taken over by the infected. Maybe it's just this local area. So I don't know. I'm excited about watching it. I'm gonna watch it with with glasses of someone who appreciates Resident Evil but isn't infatuated with Resident Evil. So I'll let you know how that goes. I'll let you know what I think about it after July 14th on Netflix. Good time. Okay, now continuing on with this this thing where fans are getting a little excited, which I guess this one I can see a little bit more. Fans are getting really excited about the new Halo TV show, and one particular scene of last episode, which was episode 8 of season 1. It shows Master Chief, John 117, he has a little bit of an emotional and physical connection with another character, right? So that other character is Maki, who's I don't want to explain the whole thing. I also don't want to give any spoilers for the story itself. She's with the Covenant, right? So he falls for her, right? I didn't ask him if they're in love, that's none of my business, but the point is they are having intimate relations on episode 8, right? Now we've already seen Master Chief's butt, right? So this isn't even like that graphic. It's not a graphic scene at all. It's not a Cinemax, after hours thing. It's just Master Chief and Maki like getting together and hooking up, right? So people lost their minds about this. People are like, well, there are some major lore, actually you can't do that, Master Chief. There are some major lore things that prevent this. Number one of the biggest ones. Now this isn't, Master Chief is an augmented super soldier, right? He's a Spartan. He's a Spartan 2, actually. So he is, he's just a super being, right? He's not just some dude hooking up at a bar, right? He has an emotion pellet in his back. Now, they did describe in the show, I guess he got it removed, all this stuff, whatever. But the fact is, the people who wrote the story originally, they wanted this, there's this mechanical thing in his back that literally, prevents him from feeling too much emotion. And the writers of the TV show are like, well, you know what? What if we just took that out? And then we could make this a love story. We could make this Twilight Halo edition. Huh? How's that? And like everybody's sitting around the table. It's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. What Halo? What? What's Halo again? It's a TV show. The armor looks cool. Am I right, guys? So I feel like there, and I'm not alone here. Again, I'm not a huge Halo lore nerd or anything, but I understand. I understand, what's going on in the game and in TV, just the books, all that stuff. Anyway, so it's kind of weird to say that Master Chief can have emotions for another, person. And he does. And so not only that, so they've explained that part away. They removed the emotion pellet, right? But what about the fact that his libido was actually reduced when he was a kid? During training, during that Spartan 2 training, he had his libido, and I don't know if removed is the correct word, but it's decreased, right? They don't have a real sex drive because, the doctor, Dr. Halsey, was pretty much, when they're young, was pretty much like, hey, this would get in the way. This would distract you. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of that whole procreation thing, right? You are a super soldier. That's all you need to know. And then Paramount's like, well, what if, hey guys, listen, what if he didn't have a decreased libido? I don't know. I feel like, I am nitpicking a little bit here, and it's just weird. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's like a major part of this character. I mean, also, we never saw his face before. And then in this TV show, he's just running around without his helmet on constantly, So, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it's weird because it seems like the target demographic is what? We don't know. What is the target demographic? It's not hardcore Halo fans. They stopped watching episodes ago. It's not people who don't know what Halo is, because those 4 people are not going to watch the show anyway because they don't have internet or electricity. So I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do here. I don't know if is it a thing about like trying to broaden the horizons of people who already are Halo fans and maybe have always wanted to see Master Chief hook up. Somebody said, and I thought this was a great comment, someone said that this is basically fanfic at this point. You stay in the same world as your favorite thing, and then you write a crazy alternative storyline. Like, what if Master Chief hooked up? Sure. Yeah, that could happen in fanfic. But for it to be on a TV show where you're pretty much saying like, this is Halo, this is the TV show you've always been waiting for, and then to not stick with the lore, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Also, I have to point out, I wasn't disturbed by this. I just find it funny that a lot of people were. But what did disturb me? Not really disturb. It was just like funny. It was like laugh out loud funny. Cortana is sitting there watching them. And they cut over to her face as she's like watching them, and then they cut back to them like rolling in the hay, and then they cut back to Cortana, and it's like, what? Why? I mean, sure, she hangs out with them a lot, right? But do we have to see her expression during? I don't know. It's weird. But hey, they're grown adults, right? They do what they want, or at least the writers can make them do what they want. All right, let's get on to this last little bit of news here. Black Mirror. Now they've announced, I say announced in quotes because I don't think Netflix has officially announced it, but I think that there's a casting call that someone found for Black Mirror season 6. I'm very excited about this. Let's, talk about fan rage. Well, it's the opposite of rage. But being a lore nerd, Black Mirror is one of my favorite shows of all time. I absolutely love that show. And the fact that they're making a season 6 is great because it's been 3 years, right? 2019, somewhere around there. I mean, we had a pandemic. We have a pandemic that's kind of got in the way last couple of years, right? And this has happened to a lot of shows and movies and kind of ongoing things. So that's understandable. We understand why Black Mirror took a break. But season 6, doing a casting call and looking for, getting that together, getting to the point where they're going to start making a season 6, that's exciting, right? I wish Netflix would announce it, but of course, we can't expect that to happen this soon, I guess. So what I did is I put together a list of what I thought would be kind of my wish list, right? My bucket list of things that I want to see in season 6. When I saw the news, I said, I'm sure they're going to do a lot of things right. I'm sure they're going to have a great cast. They've always had a great cast, right? Especially later on. John Hamm, Bryce Dallas Howard, Miley Cyrus, right? So they've always had a great great cast. I think they'll knock that out of the park. They're probably going to do even better, a better cast this time. It just keeps getting better. Now, here's some things I want to see though. I want to see more episodes. You know what I mean? I want to see more, like the first couple seasons were 3 episodes each. That's back when it was on BBC? It was a British show. It was kind of just starting out. Charlie Brooker wrote some amazing stuff in those first couple seasons and through the whole run. But then they said, you know what? Let's go to 6 episodes. So they did that for a couple seasons, 3 and 4. And then season 5, they said, well, let's go back down to 3 episodes. And people were like, uh-oh, what? Wait, what? So I want to see them, at least I want to see them go back to 6 episodes, but more than that would be great. Most shows have 10 episodes, especially like anthology, things like that. So let's see 10, right? Let's stop doing this like 3 episodes a season thing and just give one strong 10 episode season 6. Let's do that. That'd be great. Another thing I want to see is more dystopian robot stuff. I wrote in my article that, and this is so true, when you talk to Black Mirror or talk about Black Mirror to people and you say, hey, have you ever seen Black Mirror? And they're like, yes, that's the one with that little robot dog, right? Everyone remembers the robot dog. It's the Boston Dynamics. I forget what they call that thing, but it's a creepy dog because it looks the way it moves is so real. and there was a whole episode about it called Metalhead. And people loved it. It's one of the most memorable episodes because of that. So I want to see more of that. I want to see more, and not only just the dog, but I want to see, we're at the point now where we have some pretty creepy AI robots. Look up creepy AI robots on YouTube and you'll see what I mean. There are some robots out there, some androids, essentially, that are crazy. Like they answer questions and they talk back to you, and I don't know. Like I want to see some of that. Also, more psychological horror. We have the robot stuff. We have the the mind-bending stuff, but the psychological horror, the stuff that is scary and messes with your mind at the same time. Like there was the episode Shut Up and Dance, which is the one where the kid was caught on his webcam doing some nefarious deeds, and he was blackmailed. He was basically blackmailed, and then I won't spoil it, but he got into this big circle of craziness where at the end, kind of there was no turning back when he got to the end and did some things. Great episode, and it really messed with your mind. There was some gasping from me when I saw that episode. It was like, what? Men Against Fire was pretty cool. That was the one with the roaches, which were, it wasn't I don't know. It was a good episode. It had like undead kind of things in there, and that was pretty cool. White Christmas, the one with John Hamm, was a great episode. That's the kind of stuff I want to see more of, the stuff that makes you think, the stuff you have to really pay attention to, which people don't do enough of these days. Everyone's watching TV with their phone in their hand. I want stuff that really makes you think and makes you pay attention. Another thing I want to see is more dark comedy. I don't know. I love like the Nosedive episode, the dating one. That was a great episode. And I love that kind of stuff. Like stuff that's funny, but like in a really, really dark way. Great. They do it really well in Black Mirror, so I want to see more of that. Fewer pop celebrity guests, even though I just mentioned that Miley Cyrus was, one of the great stars of Black Mirror. It's actually the last episode of season 5, the last one we saw, the one that kept a taste in our mouth for 3 years, was the one with Miley Cyrus, where she's like a pop icon, and things turned weird. There was like a clone of her, or like a doll kind of thing, and yeah, things turned really weird. Now that was actually, it wasn't a horrible episode. I didn't mind it, but it was their lowest ranked episode from what I hear. It was like their lowest, either lowest viewership or something like that. Like people rank it and they just thumbs down. I don't know if it's because of Miley Cyrus. I don't know what it is, but it didn't do well. So maybe a little bit less of that. No more interactive episodes. Now, before you throw something at your, whatever you're listening to this on, the interactive episodes were cool. The Bandersnatch, the movie that came out in 2018, I think it was, between a couple seasons there, like between 4 and 5. That was a great movie, right? Bandersnatch was great. Everyone was talking about it when that came out, and it really kind of put Black Mirror on the map. But for 2018, now again, 2018 was 4 years ago, right? Keep that in mind. 2018 is when people were doing that. People were doing that whole interactive Netflix thing where you get to choose your own adventure, and it was cool. It was fun. But here's what I'm saying. I'm saying let's not rely on that anymore. Let's not rely on that technology anymore, because it was fun. It was gimmicky back then. But now let's go a step further. Let's do VR. Let's see a Black Mirror VR experience where not only you choose your adventure, in the story itself, but you can maybe, I guess it would have to be like something on a game, probably, like, it's something on Steam, but you get to the point where you can look around while you're watching the episode. You're in the episode. Wouldn't that be cool? And I'm sure they've done that before. I'm pretty sure people have done that before. I don't know. I'm kind of out of touch on that, but I want to see it in Black Mirror. You know what I mean? I want to see where you're trying to figure out what's going on in this episode while you're right there in it. That would be fun. Good times. So yeah, no more. And I say, maybe I shouldn't say no more interactive, because VR is still interactive, but no more interactive in the way that Bandersnatch was interactive in 2018. Let's go past that. Let's go with the technology and get to that next step. That's what I want to see. That's my wish list for season 6. Huge Black Mirror fan. I want to see more post-apocalyptic stuff. Now, they don't really do that too much. They did it in that one with the roaches. They did it in a couple other ones where, the world had ended. It's very dystopian. I mean, the Metalhead one, the one with the robot dog, that was definitely dystopian. Let's see more of that, right? So that I can write about it on this site. so I can have an excuse to watch it and write about it, right? Okay, so I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you have an opinion on this, let me know in the comments what you think. I think it could be fun to have some of those things happen, right? All right, let's talk about what is coming up. Now, we don't have anything else on our calendar for May, even though we have like 2 weeks left of May. But as we get into June, we have Jurassic World Dominion, which is premiering on June 10th. Starship Troopers Terran Command has a new release date of June 16th. The day before, the PC game is not releasing in June. We still have it on our calendar. I need to take that off there. It's not releasing in June. It's now going to be 2023. Westworld Season 4. Oh, man. Speaking of great TV shows, June 26th, that is supposed to come out. So June looks like it'll be a lot of fun. We also have a lot of other great articles on the site. We have coverage of, Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan's manga is... Stephanie's been writing about that quite a bit. We also have stuff about... there's 86, which is another anime And that's one Stephanie's really been watching quite a bit of and writing reviews of each episode. Very cool. We have a guest writer who wrote about a book called Pathogen, a film called Pathogen. Did a review on that. Very, very cool. Check that out because we love to have guest writers. I mean, if you're a writer and you want to be a guest, then you can be a guest writer. So that's all. In every episode of this podcast, I leave a little bit of a blurb about if you want to write for us. If you want to make this site better, hey, if you want to make this podcast better, contact us. And, we want to get you on here. We want a team. We want an army of people writing about post-apocalyptic stuff. So, yeah, definitely cool stuff. There's even an article on the site about a new game coming out. Well, they're supposed to have a Kickstarter later this year called Trailer Park Warlords of the Apocalypse. It's a tabletop game. They've already shown it off at a few conventions in like the Southeast U.S. And I was excited about it when I saw it, so I interviewed the guy. So it's an interview with the guy Michael Love who created it, I guess, and designing it and stuff like that. So yeah, another thing to look forward to. Check that out. Lots of stuff on the site. Lots of stuff on our social media. All the links are in the show notes for today in today's episode. So check all that out. And I want to thank every one of you for listening. This is always a blast. It's just me sitting in front of this microphone, ranting and raving about the stuff I love the most. So thanks everyone again for listening. And as always, stay alive out there, right? And always be ready for the big one. Bye-bye.